So just give me a second here and we will begin. Maybe. This should go relatively quick. Hopefully no more than maybe 15, 20 minutes. And then we'll be done. Wasn't going to broadcast today, but this is just one of those little things that you just kind of see. And you're like, okay, I can talk about this for a second. So this should go really quick. Hang on, let me open up the YouTube app. All right, let me do a search. Gotta go turn off the chat here. Probably could have left it on for this one, but you never know. Okay, there we go. Turn that off. All right, let me do a search. Gotta go turn off the chat here. Now you're listening to me, listen to myself. All right, now let me check the, hang on, let's go to sermonaudio.com. Check their platform. Here we are. We do a search. Oh, now everyone shows up today to listen. Okay, now we have better numbers today than I think we had Sunday. All right, so thank you for tuning in. I do appreciate it. And yeah, we'll get started here. This should go relatively quick. Just kind of a quick update. Hey, when I see more people tuning in, I'm like, oh, so when I'm doing all of the discussion about law, gospel, Isaiah 44, but then I do this. But it's funny, we'll talk about that in just a minute. All right, are you ready? Ladies and gentlemen, let's begin. We go live in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.
Looking at our world from a theological perspective, this is the Theology Central podcast, making theology central.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is Monday, July the 7th, 2025. It is currently 12:55 p.m. Central Time, and I'm coming to you live from the Theology Central studio located right here in Abilene, Texas. Now, if you were to think about the almost 4,000 messages that are available on the Sermon Audio platform, around 4,000. I think it's like 3,990 something. I think we're very close to the 4,000th episode, at least available on that platform. If I go gather everything I've ever done, it should be well over 4,000. But we're getting close to 4,000. Out of those 4,000 episodes, I'll just round it up, all right? 3,900 and whatever it is. Close to 4,000. Out of those episodes, what would you say would be the most popular episode I have ever done in the entire history of broadcasting on the Sermon Audio platform? What do you think would be the number one episode? Do you think it would be talking about Isaiah 40 through 55? Do you think it'd be something about hermeneutics, church history, theology, Bible study, the Bible study methods? Do you think it would be anything like that? No, the number one episode that I have ever done on the Sermon Audio platform was about the Sirius XM app. And I'm not joking. The number one episode I have ever done, nothing about the Bible, nothing about theology, nothing about doctrine, was an update about the Sirius XM app. And what do you do when something is super popular? You come back with the sequel, and then you do another one, and then you do another one, because that's how you get all of the downloads and streams. So since everyone it seems like people on the Sermon Audio app are more interested in Sirius XM than they're interested in anything else. I can't explain it. It's the most bizarre thing. And it's the number one download month after, almost every single month. That episode that I did, I think over a year ago, about Sirius XM, it's still the number one. Like, how can it be number one month after month? It makes no sense. I do not understand it. So we're doing the sequel. All right? Because when you think of the Theology Central podcast, when you think of it, I think you may expect to hear it on a platform like Sermon Audio. You may think of, to hear it on a platform like Apple Podcast app or Pocket Cast or any of the podcasting apps. I doubt you think of Sirius XM when you think of Theology Central, because Sirius XM is kind of known more for maybe Howard Stern, classic rock, live sports, pop radio, maybe even political talk radio. But it's not really known for a theology podcast digging into hermeneutics, church history, and biblical interpretation. You don't think Sirius XM, that's where I go for in-depth theological discussions and hermeneutical arguments. You don't think of going to Sirius XM. But as I pointed out, I think about a year ago, it may have even been 2 years at this point, I don't even remember. Guess what? The Theology Central podcast is available on the Sirius XM app. And that was kind of shocking news. And the way it came about, if you don't know, there was one of the oldest podcasting apps of, I think, all time was Stitcher, right? A great podcasting app. And it was like there at the very beginning of podcasting. Well, Sirius XM bought Stitcher. And when they bought it, the Stitcher app went away and they were going to kind of roll podcasting in over to Sirius XM. And so I made a joke a long time ago. Wouldn't it be cool that one day I open up the Sirius XM app and there's Theology Central? Would that not be awesome, right? So I looked at anything I could possibly do to make that happen. I didn't really hear much. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And then I received an email from a listener going, hey, I don't know if you know this, you're on Sirius XM. I'm like, are you kidding? No way. You're kidding me, right? So I went and looked and I'm like, wow. So we immediately did a broadcast, told everyone about that, and then that's it. And then that episode is the #1 episode on Sermon Audio. For me, I'm not saying for all broadcasters, for me, which is just weird. Again, in some ways, that's kind of discouraging, right? All the hours on Law and Gospel. Nope. Sirius XM. All the hours on Isaiah. Nope. Sirius XM. All the hours. Nope. It's so weird. Okay. But here we are. It doesn't really matter how we got here, but here we are. Theology Central is on the Sirius XM app. And for some reason, a lot of people were interested in an episode about that news. But here's what's crazy. And here's why I'm talking about it today. Not just because I need to do a sequel to capture on how many people love hearing me discuss this. I need to talk about this because against all expectations, Sirius XM has become the #1 platform where people are listening to the Theology Central podcast, and I cannot explain what is going on. I got the news yesterday, and I looked at it, and I'm like, wait, what? Over 50% of all downloads and streams are coming from the Sirius XM app? I'm like, someone make this make sense. It makes no sense. According to the latest data, nearly over half, over half of all our listens are now listening, downloading, streaming, however you want to classify it, are coming directly from Sirius XM. So I don't know if you're listening to me on the Sirius XM app. I don't know if you're hearing this while you're driving across the country. I don't know if you're sitting at home. I don't know if you're at work. I don't know if it's in your living room. All I can say is, well, thank you for making Sirius XM app now the #1 platform for the Theology Central podcast. This just makes no sense to me. Like, how did that even happen? It's like, hey, there's Howard Stern. There's NFL games, hockey games, NBA games, because the Sirius XM app has everything. I'll tell you about everything the app has. Oh, and wait, there's Theology Central. I think I'll listen to Theology Central. What? Like that I don't even understand. So I'm going to try to explain. Well, I've already tried to explain how we got here, but we'll talk a little bit about this. So let's do this. Let's talk about the Sirius XM app. I'll just give you some basic information for those who may not have any clue. The Sirius XM app is a comprehensive audio streaming platform offering kind of a hybrid experience that combines live radio, exclusive music channels, curated talk shows, sports, news, a massive on-demand podcast library, and it's all in one app. Here's some of the key offerings. It has live radio, 400 plus channels covering music, genre-specific music, curated by DJs and artists, live sports. You get all the NFL games, all the MLB games, all the NBA games, all the NHL games, most college games. You get news like CNN, Fox, MSNBC, BBC. You get talk and entertainment like Howard Stern, Comedy Central Radio. There is some religious programming, the Catholic Channel, Family Talk, Enlighten for Southern Gospel. I do believe Joel Osteen has his own channel on there. So, it's from a theological perspective, it's a theological wasteland, all right? But then you do get, guess what? The Theology Central podcast. Now, when you think of Sirius XM, you may think of satellite radio because that's how it all, if you don't remember, it started off as two separate companies. You had XM satellite radio and Sirius satellite radio, right? I have a long history with XM. I was I think it was like subscriber number 7 or 8 when XM first was made available. And when it was first made available, I wanted to hook it up to my home stereo system. So I went and purchased a unit thinking, okay, this should be easy. Well, it was designed for the car, right? So I had to pull the car as close to the living room window as possible and run things from the car because I had to plug into the cigarette lighter thing and run the cords through to try to hook it up to the stereo. But it was beautiful, beautiful sounding, digital radio, and all these channels. It was amazing. And so I loved XM because it was they didn't play it safe. They kind of pushed the envelope for all the different types of music they would play, not just the same, 40 songs. I loved it. It was like a music lover's heaven. It was like the greatest thing ever. Now they kept adding channels and adding channels and adding channels and adding channels, which ultimately began to degrade the quality of the audio because you had to compress all that audio to account for all of those channels, which was very disappointing because I love the sound when it was originally made. And calling the DJs at that time, they gave numbers to call the DJs. There was only I would call and they'd be like, oh, hey, you're subscriber number 7. There's, tell me what you want to hear. I'll play anything. It was really cool back then. But then ultimately there was this war between XM and Sirius. Sirius won the war. And because Sirius appealed more to the mainstream way of thinking, like playing the same 40 songs over and over and over, even though people complain about repetition. As soon as you play something new, they turn the channel. Every statistic, every study in the world shows that. If you put in new music, boom, people go, they leave. They go to what they know, which is just so, from a music lover's perspective, that ticks me off so much. I'm just going to listen to what I know. Well, there was a time you didn't know that. Okay, so, all right, but that whatever. So Sirius won. I still think XM was far superior service, but okay. Sirius won. They bought XM. Now it became Sirius XM. The satellite, I still feel that the quality there is not as good, but they came out with the Sirius XM app. Now, there was a period of time they were going all in with the app. We're going to go in and we're going to have an app that's going to compete with Apple Music or Spotify. And we're going to be this, music streaming service that offers everything. And they had a big press conference and they were like, we're the future. And then, well, they didn't capture everyone's attention. And so now they're kind of trying to go back to the satellite focus. I hope they go back to the app focus because to me, the app is amazing. I love the Sirius XM app. It's absolutely amazing. I use it all the time. I'm constantly using the Sirius XM app. And I listen to so many different channels, so many different genres of music. I absolutely love, and sports and news, anything I need and want, it's right there. Over 400 channels. So, but ultimately, as they were focusing on music and talk and expanding with the app, and they bought Stitcher, they brought in the entire podcasting world right there. So you can basically listen to pretty much any podcast. And so Theology Central podcast is available on the Sirius XM app. All you have to do is do a search for Theology Central, follow us, and the new episodes show up really, really quick. And you don't have, and just so for you can get a subscription to the Sirius XM app without getting a subscription to the satellite service. You just need the subscription to the app, which I think is like $9.99 a month. It's like any other music streaming service, and you have unlimited everything. I think you can get 3 months for free when you sign up for a free trial. But this is not a paid commercial. I have no connection with them. I'm not getting paid for anything. I don't get paid a dime, just so that you know, for my podcast to be on SiriusXM. I don't get anything. That's one of the weird things about podcasting worlds, right? So you have podcasting apps. They may monetize and put ads on the app, and they may do different things. They get money, but they're using my content. SiriusXM, they're getting paid, but they're using my content, right? I don't get a dime. I don't get a cent, right? So now on one hand, that's fine, right? Because I want my content to be everywhere. My content's on the Pandora music app. It's on Spotify. It's on the Deezer music streaming app. It's on Amazon Music. Wherever. Our podcast is available everywhere. But all of those platforms use my content. They get paid. I don't get a dime. Spotify gets paid. Amazon Music gets paid. But I don't get anything. So in some ways, it's great that I'm producing all of that content, but you don't get paid. The only way I get paid is if someone decides to offer to give some money. Well, other than that, there's nothing coming. And so it's an interesting way it works, that there's all this content that these platforms take, and they, in a way, ultimately find a way to make money off of that content. But either way, SiriusXM app, I love it. I use it. I subscribe to it. I've been subscribing. At one point, I had XM. And I had Sirius. I had both of them and 2 different devices to do for satellite. And I had the little antennas outside my window for both services because I wanted both. I wanted 900 channels. So when they combined, it did save me money a little bit. But once the app came out, I've been using it forever. And I don't think I'll ever get rid of my subscription. I think if I had to choose between food and SiriusXM app, I'll go with SiriusXM app. If I had to choose between food and Apple Music app, I'm going with Apple Music. If I have to choose between food and Spotify app, I'm gonna choose the music streaming services versus food. Okay, I know you say that's ridiculous. Well, you do you. Music is more important to me than food. Food is only a nuisance that I have to have. Music is like, it's like blood in my veins. Okay, so yeah. But there we are. We are there. It's an unlikely development. I still can't believe over 50%. Like, when did this happen? I don't know. So if you listen to us on SiriusXM app, thank you. I don't know how I don't know if you're listening while you're driving. I don't know how you're listening to us on the SiriusXM app, but there. If you've never used the SiriusXM app, there may be lots of content on there you could find useful and beneficial. It's like an entire world of entertainment and information at your fingertips. And so the app is very well designed, I think, and there's lots of cool features. If you're willing to take the time to learn the app and all the different things it can do. Just do a search for Theology Central. Follow us. Hit that bell so you'll get a notification. And then every time we drop a new episode, it'll be right there. Now, you can't listen to us live on the SiriusXM app. You can listen to us live on YouTube, but not on SiriusXM. But I just wanted everyone to know. I thought it was I still don't. Why is an episode about this so popular? And why is everybody listening to us on SiriusXM? Now, I think maybe, I could be wrong, and I'll just end with this. I think the Theology Central podcast tends to find an audience of people who question, who doubt, who struggle, who have been burnt by the church and sick of a lot of the politics and games of the church and see it all, kind of see through its facade. for people who kind of sick and tired of the standard Christian answers and tired of the church answers and tired of everything making sense. I think my podcast appeals to the cynical, the skeptical, the doubter, the one bitter, maybe the one frustrated, the one irritated, the one just kind of throw their hands and I'm done with all of this church garbage. And I think I appeal to those kinds of people more. So I'm going to find that audience probably more likely, we'll call it, I don't like the word, a secular platform, right? Instead of Christian platform, I tend to get pushback. I got kicked off Christian radio for crying out loud. So in the Christian world, I'm always seen almost as the enemy. People get mad at me. They get frustrated with me. They get irritated. But in a more secular platform, I think I think that's where my audience is found. I think my audience is primarily made up of people who struggle, doubt, question. And I think the average, typical kind of Christian hates this program. They loathe it. They don't like it. And I can understand why. Because I probably come somewhat antagonistic to much of what they think and feel. By no means do I ever go, I stay very much in line with historical biblical Christianity all day long, but I will challenge things and question things. And I call for, a hermeneutic that actually makes sense. And so I think that's why. I think maybe we're on the Sirius XM. We do better on Pandora. We do better on the secular platforms. I'm not going to apologize for that. Christians don't want me. They don't like me. But I think people who are still call themselves Christians, but have been burned by Christianity and grown tired of it and sick of it and frustrated by it, I think they hear me and they're like, man, that guy's more frustrated and irritated and cynical than I am. Right? I have more hope than he does. Okay. I don't know what it is. That's just kind of my guess. That's pure speculation. I have no statistical analysis to prove that, but I do have statistical analysis to say the number one platform to hear us is the Sirius XM app. That tells you something. All right. So if you've never tried it, try it today. I don't get any money. I don't get any kickbacks. Right. But the Sirius XM app, there for all your music needs, information, sports, entertainment. It's all there. And the cynical, questioning Theology Central podcast. So if you find it, if you've never used it before and you start using it today, let me know. Let me know what you think about it, how it's set up, and if you like it. Do you get the notifications when I send a new episode, when I drop a new episode? In fact, if you go sign up really quick for the SiriusXM app, really, 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 really fast, you can see how quickly you get this episode because it should be appearing on the SiriusXM app in just a few minutes. All right. Thank you. I just wanted to give you that update. It's kind of interesting. I'm still kind of just perplexed. And if anybody can figure out why the episode about the SiriusXM app was number one on Sermon Audio, and it's been number one over and over and over for me. Now, I'm not saying for Sermon Audio in total, but I'm saying for me. If someone's got an explanation for that, I would love to know. And if someone can explain why this Theology Central has found such a home on the SiriusXM platform, that would be interesting to know as well, if you have any theories. But other than that, everyone have a great Monday. July the 7th, 2025. God bless.